Hello, I'm Richard Vobes, the Bald Explorer, out on another walk, and this time looking for something from the Second World War. But I'm not alone, because I don't think I'd find this without the experts who have actually been there and done the dig. So today I'm with Brian Drury. Hello, Brian.
Hello, Richard.
And Bob Brown.
Hello.
And we are off to look for something that was terribly secret during the Second World War. Brian, perhaps you could tell us what it is that we're aiming to go and seek out.
We're going to find a hole in the ground.
A hole in the ground, right, a secret hole.
A secret hole, dug probably in 1940, something like that. In secret, probably at night, by Canadian soldiers, with the intention of housing some very brave individuals whose role would be to attack the invading armies from Germany.
So we're talking 1940.
We're talking somewhere, 1940, 41 probably.
With the threat of an invasion
with
from
the
Germany.
Threat of an invasion.
Yeah.
That was not just a threat, it was anticipated as being an almost certainty.
Yes.
And these brave souls were destined to defend our country from underground. And what we're going to see is the result of excavating one of these hideouts by a group of volunteers some years ago, and show what it looked like.
So I should point out we are in Sussex, in West Sussex. We're on the Angmering Estate, but we're not going to tell you exactly where the hole in the ground is, because obviously we don't want anybody to have the bright idea of trying to dig it out all over again, because it's already been excavated and so much has been done. Bob, can you tell us, it's the people who are doing this were the auxiliary, what's their official title?
The auxiliaries. No, sorry,
Auxiliary unit.
The auxiliary units.
They were the auxiliary units, which, as Brian has said, were a secret resistance organisation, particularly here in Sussex.
But not just in Sussex. Quite a wide.
All the way around the coast of the country.
Yes.
And but this specific one was called the Warningcamp Patrol, and it was probably in association with Arundel Castle.
And what sort of people would have been in the hole?
They would be locals. They would be people who knew the country, knew the landscape, knew the local customs, and they would have been schoolmasters, farmers, gamekeepers, anybody with local knowledge that could be relied on. And they were recruited very secretly, very tactfully, and they were like a community, and they did not communicate with the local people.
Right. So, and their specific role was to not only just to disrupt the Germans, but to try and take out the leaders.
That's right.
The various.
Most of the Germans, when they invaded, would have gone, as they did in France, for large mansions and chateaux and so forth, and possibly at Arundel Castle in this case. And the very senior German officers would have used it as their base, and these guys would have done everything in their power to take out the most senior German officers.
But they weren't, and they knew this. They weren't expected to live terribly long.
They were. Their life expectancy is said to have been 2 to 3 days. 2 to 3 weeks.
Blimey.
Again.
No, that's fine. So
there's a warning.
There's a warning here, ladies and gentlemen.
I think we should be a bit further along, Brian. No.
So we've come to a tree line here with a dip down into a valley beyond. Brian is climbing gingerly over the fence, making sure there's no damage whatsoever to the fence, I should point out. And
Only damage to me.
And I will do likewise.
Yep.
And if you hold that microphone, then, ladies and gentlemen, you'll see me. Ah, yes, I see what you mean. It goes right up there, doesn't it? There we go. So this clearly is not public access land. This is, you'd have to
Correct.
have permission anyway to come here. So and we do. So that's fine.
You need to be a bit. You might need both hands.
So we're travelling westwards, which would look down towards Arundel, I suppose,
Yes.
on a nice day.
It's today it's overlooking the race exercise track.
Ah, right, okay. Just clambering down, as you can see. So the original hole, or the hiding place, was excavated some time ago, if I remember right, about 8 years ago, is that right?
Yes, about 2010.
About 2010.
And Brian will tell you more about the details of the excavation in due course.
Yes. And it's since then it's just sort of covered over and...
Since then it's...
No. Oh, well this is exciting. Oh, here we go. You wouldn't have guessed, you wouldn't have
They
known.
were always
Yes.
they were always very close to footpaths, and so that they could disappear quickly through the hedge.
That's the escape tunnel. It's constructed from concrete tubes.
Oh, right.
It runs down here, which we'll follow that down in a minute and see the other end.
So-
You can see the way it was built. They used RSJs, I-section RSJs, which obviously have collapsed and they've turned on their side. Originally they would have been 90 degrees to what they are
Right.
currently, and then they went across the top. And the whole thing was covered in earth, so that
There was
you
absolutely
couldn't
no
see
way-
any. Yeah. So we've excavated right down to the bottom, and as you can see, there's been a lot of the side has now fallen in because it's exposed to the elements.
So
but
we're looking at a lot of chalk and clay, I
This
suppose.
would
Yes.
have been the
But would they have lined it with
it
wood?
was lined with wood,
Yeah.
which rotted away, and because the steels had collapsed. And all of the earth had collapsed, and the wood had rotted. It was an incredible jumble of wood and steel
Yes.
and mud and chalk. So we took it right down to the very bottom, and you can't see it now, but the base is railway sleepers.
Oh, the railway sleepers. Oh, okay.
You can't actually see now.
How did you know it was here?
Well, that's where Bob comes in.
Ah.
He was searching for it for a very long time.
Right. Okay. Let me just come round here to you, Bob.
that incidentally that's the amount of earth that came out of it,
Oh, okay.
and the stones.
And the stones.
I came on it. I'm a member of the Lancing and Sompting Pastfinders local history group, and one of our members was a guy called Bill Linfield, who was shall we say, a local treasure in Sompting. He was a poet, a raconteur, he was a soldier, and farmhand. He originally wrote a little book called The Last Cowboy in Sussex. Now, for some years at our meetings he'd given talks, but he'd always referred to an experience which just after the war, when he was a young farmhand and we were all short of food, and these guys were put together on farms as a sort of, not volunteers, but they were helpers, and they all had jobs, tractor driving and so forth. And he would tell us about this, but we showed him a map or computer and he would never be able to say, well, it's over there, or it's vaguely here, or it's vaguely there. But
because he couldn't remember, or he didn't
well,
want to say.
no, it's just because he couldn't remember.
Right, yes.
But anyway, we eventually, with the help of the gamekeeper and Brian on the computer, we eventually found this location, and that is a photo of when we brought Bill to, and he was sitting over there, and that was before the excavation started. But so lunchtime, they all came and sat up here on this bank to have their sandwiches by this hawthorn here, and they found a drain pipe sticking out of the ground, which confused them completely. But eventually one of their group, a chap called Percy, he pointed it, a chap called Percy, and he needed to go to the loo, and he walked down here some distance, and he found the entrance. He found a trap door which they raised, and in there was one of these pipes.
Oh, I see.
So they thought, I don't know, what's this?
Yes.
So they eventually decided, the bravest one, somebody called Len, he started to crawl up, and the other three followed him, and he was lighting matches, and it was about 30 foot. And
It's quite long. We'll show you
gosh,
in a minute.
yeah, about 30 foot, and they arrived down here.
The trap that Percy found
When he scuffed.
would have been at an angle over here, and these the farm workers, including Bill, would have lifted up the trap,
Lit a match.
climbed into here, with no idea whatsoever as to where it went.
Yes. So I mean, for all they knew, water could have come gushing down here at any minute, really.
It could have gone on for half a mile.
Yes,
All day.
absolutely.
They had
Let's
no idea.
Washed out.
have a little look.
Yeah, that's quite a brave thing to do. Not as brave as,
Let's see if I can actually climb in there a little bit.
Been swept out.
And it goes round the corner there, doesn't it?
it has a kink in it.
It has a little kink.
Well, I found one in Wilton, in Salisbury.
Oh, right.
Fairly recent, well, a couple of years ago now, I suppose, isn't it? Yeah, and that was really quite exciting because it hasn't been vandalised.
I see.
And it's intact. I mean, this one wasn't vandalised because it had collapsed.
Yes, it had just
But,
collapsed.
the one in
That's-
Wilton is intact.
Oh, wow.
And not vandalised. And it's still equipped with all of the wiring and etc. So that one's quite exciting. And yeah, there are others. That
It's
have yet to
it's
be
one of
found.
those fascinating stories that, you know, the plucky courage that we Brits got up to during the Second World War, that really is one of those untold stories, isn't
Exactly.
it? Yeah.
It is largely
Exactly.
untold,
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for showing me and my lovely viewers to the secret location. So don't come trying to find it, but you've got a website, haven't you, with more information about it?
There is. It's
Oh.
not mine, but
Coles
yes,
Hill,
yes,
isn't it?
yes.
Yeah.
Coles Hill.
We'll put the details so you can go and read more about it. But in the meantime, we've got to find our way back, I suppose.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.